Welcome to the April 8th meeting of the Traffic Board. And I'm going to call this meeting to order. And we will start with an attendance or roll call. So I am Christina Anderson, City Planner.
Dennis Randolph, Traffic Engineer.
Leslie Hoffman, Central City Parking.
Mike Skursky with Kalamazoo Public Safety.
Great, thank you very much. You have before you the agenda for today. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the April 8th agenda of the Traffic Board?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
I'm going to have to defer the second to somebody else because I'm not really a member.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Can you please second the agenda if that is possible? The approval of the agenda? Oh dear, I think you froze. Okay, oh, there we are.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Great. Okay, so you also have before you the approval of the meeting minutes from March 11th. Does anybody have any changes to those minutes? Nope. Great. Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Great. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Okay. So we have a pretty short agenda today. We have no new business, and our old business item is traffic calming, which we started to discuss at the last meeting, and we decided to discuss it again today, or to give everybody the opportunity to review it again today, or before today, to see if there were any additional comments. We also shared with this board a copy of the Road Commission's proposed traffic calming plan, to see, what they were doing and how that related to ours. Did anybody have the opportunity to review those two documents, and are there any comments or questions at this time? None?
Yeah, I don't have any comments regarding them. I think our list of places to look for devices such as rumble strips grows almost daily. So I think we need to get something in place to be able to deal with them. I hate telling citizens we'll put you on the list. The list keeps growing and
Absolutely.
Nothing. Yeah, Absolutely. So we need to keep moving along. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would like, I thought that, so first of all, I thought that in comparison to the Road Commission, we actually had very similar processes, right? In terms of engagement, you need to make sure that you have some level of consensus. You need to go out a couple times, one time to kind of say, yes, we all agree that there's a problem. And then another time to say, yep, I think this is the right solution. And so I thought it was good that we had that, those similarities. The one place where we differed was the point system. And I am not sure that we want to go with that necessarily at this time. So for the Road Commission, in order to be accepted into their traffic calming policy, you have to reach a certain number of points. We can certainly, after testing it over the next year, or this budget cycle, to see how we do with our projects, if we're able to prioritize and handle the flow without such a narrow entry point, and we can always make that change. That's kind of my viewpoint.
Yeah, points when you use something like points to drive the system, it tends to be very mechanical. And especially when we're talking about what's going on in front of people's houses, they tend to be very personal, right? Yeah, and so I tend not to. I think it also limits us as far as what we could tell folks we want to be able to do, and it doesn't tie us down to a particular course of action. It's what we can discuss with everybody. That's always worked for me, and
Right.
in the places where I've been the last 25 years anyway, 27 years, I had a fairly high standard as far as buy-in from the community. I would give them petitions and we would tell them, we want 100% on the block because these things are, and I tell them about humps. And I like them, but they're miserable to live with. And I told them clearly, I want everybody to know what they're getting into because we aren't going to come back in a year and take it out if you don't like it, if you don't like getting bumped or whatever's going on. So the buy-in's important, 100% was probably a little extreme, but nobody ever complained about it where I was. So
Yeah, I think we have something slightly less than 100%, but we do have a double stage outreach, to kind of, again, make sure that everyone kind of is on the same page of what the issue is and then what the solution, what the potential solutions are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the thing for us to consider is, do we want to, so the road commission actually lists, I don't know, 14 or 15 things that they will consider as traffic calming measures. There are a couple of things on there that aren't listed that I think we might consider. I don't know if having a list is useful or not.
What I've been working on has been a set of details for potential devices or common devices or whatever. And I think I have to grab it and look. I haven't looked at it in a week or two, but it's at least 14. It's probably closer to 20 right now that I put together. I haven't finalized them yet. I got to look at what they're all saying. But I think a big cookbook is better than a little cookbook. And so I am working on that, and I've given it to Anthony to look at first. And
Okay, great.
Before it starts getting a little more general circulation. And I did a bit of a write-up to go with it.
Okay, that's great. That would be a great kind of appendix.
We can embed our basic, this is what we're going to do at the front of or at the beginning of this other document. And then there's a write-up, and then there's a little bit of, and then there's a set of details. And I wanted to have the options, but I also wanted to make sure that design-wise, they were what we really wanted and what would work for Michigan.
Right. Yeah, our climate.
Yeah, something
right.
that works in Phoenix doesn't necessarily work around here.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, anyway,
what do you think
that's what I've been working on.
What do you think the timeline is for completing that part?
I'm in pretty good shape. It's just that all of a sudden I've been getting busy.
Right, the construction season, right?
But I fortunately I got a good jump on it, and I would hope that within a month I could at least have something that everybody could look at, and
Great.
See if these made sense or there was other things that I hadn't thought about.
Okay.
Or pulled into it. So I'm going to be working on it as quickly as I can now.
And I presume that if there was something on the list, but was a new tool that came about and we found that it worked, after studying it, that list is not a finite thing, but a kind of more of a reference guide for what we know works in this area and when those different tools work in what situations?
Yeah, like I said, my approach to engineering has always been fairly open. You know, if I see something that comes along and looks good or somebody else has had luck, I'm going to try it out at least once or twice and see how it works. So I'd rather not be constrained by this is the only things that's approved, and you need X points to get this, and that's too much like the manual.
Right.
And the fact is, there is a big movement in traffic engineering right now to do something about the manual. It is 600 pages of stuff, which I've lived 50 years with. So it's not that I don't know it. But there's going to be some changes in the manual. And I think this would correspond or go along with what's going to be happening with the manual and how it treats devices in general a lot better.
Okay, great. So as we get that document finished, I think what we'll need to do is that will become our appendix, our reference that will help neighborhoods, whether it's in the neighborhood planning process or outside, after they've done the neighborhood planning process, to start to think about what tools are out there based on their issues. So when we all meet, when it's that street or that neighborhood's turn, we can have a conversation where we're all starting from the same page about what's realistic and what's not. So I think that is, I think that's a great idea. I didn't have any other significant comments on our traffic calming policy. I really think that we need to put it into practice.
Yeah.
And, see how it works. Are we reaching everybody? Are the engagement processes that we're asking for the residents to do doable? Are they sufficient? And we're not going to know any of that until we run it through, a couple of locations and go through it. So that would be my proposal, is that we move it forward. Take our neighborhood plans that are done, take some discussions that are happening in neighborhood plan process right now, find a couple places to pilot the new policy and see how it works, and run it through and see if we need to make any permanent changes. Hi, Anthony. I apologize that you had technical difficulties.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get this meeting started. I appreciate it. Sorry, but I'm here now, and I was able to listen at least for maybe the last 5 or 10 minutes. So I feel like I'm pretty well in the loop.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Are there any comments or any things that you wanted to bring up on the traffic calming draft, either ours or the draft that the road commission is considering?
Not at this time. I think, Christina, when we've talked about this policy, we know we're going to learn some things as it gets implemented and changing it. I think to probably both of your points, I feel more compelled to kind of jump into it and learn lessons along the way, rather than continue this backlog of complaints that we get and areas that we know of, and then ones that we're being made aware of from neighborhoods and residences. So there is some merit. I do kind of like a scoring system. There's a lot of good things to prioritize it, but at this point, I think I'm more in favor of moving forward to get this plan out and make people aware of it, and kind of making those adjustments along the way.
Great. I agree. I mean, I think we should go ahead and start testing it with some of our known locations, put as many people through as we can, as that we have capacity to kind of manage and have a process with. And if we need to make changes, whether we consider a scoring system in the future or we need to expand our toolkit, we can do that, right? But let's start using it and see where we go.
I think
something.
I think especially when it comes to prioritizing things that have been approved, then points come in handy. it's the question of, is it first in or first out, or first in, last out, or some points that have some kind of merit-based rationale behind it. And I think that's where the points can come in and be useful, because then again, for us programming money, it gives us some documentation or basis for saying we need so much money and we need it on this track over the years. So,
Okay.
but that's a second part, I think. Yeah, I think you jump into it, and then when you start seeing what we might end up having to build or do, then we get a little more serious about how you prioritize that.
Okay, great. So Anthony, I don't know if we actually need to make a motion on this, or if we just kind of come to a conclusion that we're going to start to test some locations, move them through our policy, and we can report back through this public body, you know, the locations, how it's going, and kind of have this serve as our kind of monitoring group. However you wish to handle it, though, is fine.
That's kind of my thought. You know, knowing this isn't something that we're not really looking to make a change to the ordinance, or, you know, it's not, certainly not set in stone. You know, I think not something that needs formal approval, but I do really kind of want to open that up to the remaining members that are here today. You know, if there is opposition or concern, that we kind of address that now, and work through that. But I don't see it being something that needs formal approval necessarily.
Okay, great. So to that end, from what we've discussed so far, it does not sound like there's any opposition. You know, KDPS is certainly going to have a role in this as we engage the community and make sure that what we're doing works not only for those that live in the area, but also for our emergency services. So we're not impacting anything in there, in that realm. So whether it is you standing in for Scott today, Mike, or Scott, who's going to be working with us, that's great. You know, you guys will be involved, but then I'm not sure if there's anything further that we need to discuss on this topic at this time. Anything else?
No, you know, what's kind of our next step? And don't mean to put you on the spot, but time frame wise, I mean, are we going to bring something back to committee, or at least maybe, I mean, at the very least an update, but I mean, ideally, if, you know, we roll this out, we make our selections, and, you know, I mean, are we ready for that step?
I think that is the next step. And I would like to start to, you know, understanding where we are in, you know, we're mid-April right now. You know, because we have engagement to do before we even do any activities or decide what activities might be worthwhile, and being, you know, mindful of, you know, winter's always coming. You know, we probably do need, that is the next step, and we probably do need to get going on that now. So we, at a minimum, have an update at May, if not, are discussing exact locations.
Yeah, and I mean, that should be a good target. At least we can aim for that.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation. Okay. Okay, so that handles old business. Are there any miscellaneous comments or concerns on the part of the traffic board committee members today? Any other updates from any Central City, KDPS, or anything else that we need to be made aware of? No? Okay, great. So at this time, if there are any public comments, could they please be played for us?
There are actually no public comments at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that brings us to our next meeting date. So we are planning to meet on May 13th at 2 p.m. Again, we are planning to have this be an electronic committee, or excuse me, an electronic meeting again. But please, you know, stay tuned to the city's website as the situation changes. And, you know, we'll make sure it's clear in all of our notices. Agenda items from the community can be submitted through Karen Rutherford by May 5th is the deadline in order to get them onto the meeting agenda. So if that is all we have, I move that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks.